fought the rest, now try the best!
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about Bandai Namco and some things that they could do better. We had some conversations like these before, and I want to continue trying to have these conversations so hopefully one day they can understand where they went wrong, how to do better, and just how to prevent it, but also know that there's lingering problems that's not being addressed. Tournaments nowadays are huge, and they're only going to get bigger. We just had Saudi by Evo. Combo Breaker just announced all the games that will be participating at the next Combo Breaker. These tournaments are so exciting, so incredible. They give so much opportunity to people who otherwise would not have them without their existing. But you also got to make sure that you're just doing your due diligence and taking care of players and keeping them informed. You also want to make sure that you're paying them. This is Sen. This is a Yoshimitsu, one of the best Yoshimitsus on the planet. If you've been watching the TWT throughout this year and you've seen the Yoshimitsu cooking, it probably was this guy. He says to crossover, whatever that is, and Bandai Namco Esports. And it's this thing here. And it says, "Dear tournament organizers, on August 10th, Crossover 2025 concluded. Ever since then, me and other competitors have not received our prize money. It has been almost 5 months with very poor communication as to why we haven't been paid out yet. I've tried to contact multiple people affiliated with the tournament with no real help. For example, main X account Crossover has not responded at all, even though people affiliated with the tournaments have told me to message them on X for updates. I really did not want to make a tweet about this, but unfortunately, it's taken way too long." The thing about this is not only that we have this one situation with this one player, but we also have this person here who says, "I didn't receive the prize money for winning the TWT Challenger event Crossover on August 10th, 2025 as well, and still have no update about it, even though it's been 5 months. They have so many different tournaments throughout the year. Players are kind of forced to go to these tournaments to get points for the Tekken World Tour to place high either on the regional leaderboards or the global leaderboards. You have to go all of these places. So if a tournament wants to participate in the Tekken World Tour, Bandai Namco needs to make sure that they have the money beforehand. They need to get the money from these tournaments when they decide to sign up, and they need to hold that money in a protected account to dish out to the players as soon as they win. About time they hit the airport, they should be seeing that plus 1,000, plus 2,000, plus 5,000. The fact that Bandai Namco isn't making this a requirement for the tournaments to give the money out up front, even though players are required to go to these tournaments to make it on the leaderboards, is absurd. And we have so many different situations like this. There's probably like 5 or 6 a year at this point. I remember Atif had a situation. There was someone else we were talking about like literally a month ago. They got to get this under control, bro. It seems like all of these tournaments are just hosting tournaments, but they're not paying people out. The problem is growing. The problem is expanding. Not only are the tournaments not acknowledging it, but Bandai Namco is not acknowledging it. We need you guys to stop with the foolishness and pay the players for participating in your event. It's your event, bro. Pay them. And even if the tournaments do like just for some reason can't pay, Bandai Namco, a multi-billion-dollar corporation, should step in and give the people their little 1,000. You're a billion-dollar corporation, bro. Fork over the cash. The next thing that I want to talk about is the Tekken World Tour. They have been releasing information leading up to the finals. One thing that I do want to say about the finals before we even talk about the initial thing is that Mogod, who currently is the #1 player on the leaderboards, right? He's the #1 top player. Above the Pakistanis, above the other Koreans, he's #1. He recently lost his sponsor, which was DNS FGC. It wasn't any type of like falling out or anything. The contract just concluded. And then Mogod swiftly, because he is the #1 player on the leaderboards, found a new sponsor, which is Gen G Esports. Looking at this, you guys can pause and read the tweets and see the heartfelt messages and celebrations and whatnot, right? But what I was looking at this is the tournament org DNS probably got screwed over, because usually the Tekken World Tour ends in December. It starts in about April-ish and it ends in December. So they probably hired Mogod with the idea that the Tekken World Tour would end when it normally ends. But the developers of this game and the people who organize these tournaments do not communicate all of these things until the latest possible time. They do not say the prize money. They do not say the location. They do not say the date. They do not say anything until it's far too late for a lot of people. And you can even see that this problem is affecting tournament orgs where they're trying to sponsor players for a whole entire season. And then the Tekken World Tour Finals is delayed by 3 months. Now the player that you sponsored the whole year has another sponsor going into the finals. And you're just sitting there like, these are weird problems that I never thought would be a problem, but with Bandai Namco doing things the way that they're doing it, it just doesn't make sense. And now, lately I've been trying to give them a lot of credit in terms of making good DLC characters, not breaking the game with updates, switching out the development team. I've been trying to talk very positive about Season 3 and how they're kind of handling things, but you just have instances like this where there's definitely room for growth. Also, there's room for more communication. That's going to be the theme throughout this video, is better communication, and stop waiting to the last second to do everything, because it's causing all type of problems. And also be more accountable. The next thing that I want to talk about, and this is kind of a big thing we talked about multiple times throughout the year, but we have the final conclusion to it. So Bandai Namco is sharing information about the Tekken World Tour bracket. 4 players been outstanding throughout the season. So you can see this is the top 4 on the leaderboards. Like I said, Mogul number 1, followed up by 3 Pakistani dogs. Those guys are slaying. Those guys are cooking. You know I like glazing the Pakistani players. I have a video coming up soon where I talk about some of the things that those guys have been saying about Brian Fury, this, that. Subscribe, stay tuned. That video will come soon. You then have everyone else under those guys, from Ni, who was 5th place, to Lohai, Jonding, Ulsan, Chikarin, Rangchu, Edge, Raf. You also have the second group of players here, JDCR, King Ray, Fergus. It's a lot of names. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because once you get past the global leaderboard players and you start talking about the people who are on the regional side of things, because there's 3 different brackets. There's the LCQ, global leaderboards, and regional leaderboards. The regional leaderboards have recently came under a lot of scrutiny because there's just evidence of cheating all over the place. Now, some people are being accused of cheating, but they're not necessarily cheating. I spoke with one person who was banned by Bandai Namco, and they were saying Bandai Namco made a mistake. They're trying to get it solved. They're trying to get it resolved, and they feel that they were treated unfairly. We'll see whether or not that situation is resolved and how it's resolved, but that's one example of things getting dicey. Something else that also happened as well is you have a couple of names here, people who's leading their leaderboards. But when you look at this screenshot here, one name that probably sticks out to you is Alidar. This is the name that's been said multiple times throughout the year. The region he comes from, which is Guam, that's the Oceania region. Those guys have been accused by pretty much everyone. Every pro player, everyone who's paying attention, yapping on Twitter, they've said that this guy was in the wrong and he is cheating. It says it's disheartening to see Bandai Namco be provided with infutable evidence of cheating results and still reward the cheaters. I've reached out to Bandai Namco in the TWT support Discord only to be ignored. Here's hoping to a better season. They are creating fake tournaments where they say like 80 people are showing up, but really it's only 10 people. And then those 10 people play a fake tournament, they win points, and then it's all in the goals or the hopes of putting Alidar as the number 1 person in the Oceania region. And as you can see here with Bandai Namco tweeting out that he is the person who will represent Oceania, not only do all of the other regions in Oceania who's also battling and following the rules, not only do they get screwed over, but also they're now being represented by the person who screwed them over. Something that I've said time and time again is that we need the proper evidence before we start really labeling anyone anything. Now, I know that there's a lot of people on Twitter who feel like they have that evidence and they submitted that evidence to Bandai Namco. They're confused as to why Bandai Namco didn't act on that evidence. As to why that's the case, I have no clue whatsoever. I can only look at some of the things and be like, yeah, that doesn't add up. Yeah, this looks crazy. But if Bandai Namco's not banning these guys or taking these guys off the leaderboard or giving it to someone else, when we know that they will, they've done so in the past many times before, I feel like they should at least put out a statement, right? If Bandai Namco did investigate it and they found nothing wrong, they should say that. Once again, the theme of this video is communicating. I just hope everyone understands how Bandai Namco not communicating is creating so much chaos, so much controversy, and it's kind of unnecessary. This has to be one of the most chaotic, controversial Tekken World Tour brackets for no reason at all. Whoever is running Bandai Namco Esports Twitter account, whoever is running the Bandai Namco department of Tekken, you got to do something, bro. This is unacceptable. That's it though. That's it.